Johnny Vaughan.
Right, let's hit it.
Radio X.
Welcome to podcast number 40.
40?
40.
Can't believe it, we're 40.
Yeah, our podcast is over the hill.
Yeah,
That's selling it.
it really is.
It's hit the big 4-0. On this week's podcast, Little Si moonlights and gets caught.
right. I read that wrong for a second there. I thought he'd taken his trousers off.
Yeah. Well, he might have done that as well, Gav.
Right.
There's our reaction to England's woeful performance Euro 2016,
God, yes.
which has really poisoned my whole week.
Yeah.
We've got Kevin Spacey on the show.
Yeah, we have.
He's a fan. Wing mirror spiders,
Yes,
which you're obsessed with, really.
I am, yeah.
Random graffiti. The Russians.
That's random Garfiti.
Yeah, random Garfiti, yeah. The Russians, a firm handshake, beer boobs, and Gav and I have a cargument. It's safe to say. Enjoy the podcast.
Johnny Vaughan. Radio X.
Radio X.
On the foodie, broccoli and beer can help fight cancer. 2 separate studies have found. Experts linked phenols found in broccoli to a lower risk of getting the disease, as well as heart disease, type 2 diabetes and asthma. So good news for broccoli.
What about the beer?
But you know what? Every day it's good news for broccoli.
Yes, of course.
Broccoli's that no one's going to say, no, apparently it's really bad for you.
Yeah, no one's ever said that. Yeah.
I know someone who's eating broccoli, literally they put a load of weight on,
Yeah.
and they're really unhealthy.
And one of his hands got really big.
Yeah, you can always tell
it
us
doesn't
something's
happen, yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you, you can always tell us something's really healthy for you. You know how? Just see what a kid's pushing around a plate.
That's right, yeah.
Basically, if they hate it, you know it's good for you.
That's
it. That's your guy. That's all you need.
Guaranteed.
It's like a sniffer dog.
It is.
For health. If it's all a child leaves on a big plate of food.
There's a reason for that.
What?
Why children don't eat green vegetables.
What is it?
Because they have a genetic thing where they don't eat poisonous plants in the garden. So
All right,
they don't like eating bitter green things.
Okay.
So it's to keep them alive.
So it's not just because they might have Spanish blood.
No.
Okay, fair enough. You don't get many greens in Spain. There's just
No,
lettuce.
you don't.
It's lettuce, and that's it. And even that's been imported.
That's right.
I've
yeah.
never seen a Spaniard eat
Otherwise
a vegetable.
it's fatty meat
No, they just don't have it.
and
There's
little glasses of booze.
Just go and look at any tapas you get served.
Yeah.
So yeah, just looking for the veggies on here actually. And they'll point to fried potato croquettes.
That's right.
You sort of think, yeah, it's kind of. Anyway, here we go. Beer, that's the good news. Can help you. The team at University of Illinois said it should be eaten. Beer is because you got hops, which contain some of the same things as are contained in
broccoli.
Yeah,
right.
exactly right. They also found estrogen in hops, a key beer ingredient, got rid of toxins that cause breast cancer. How about that? So, to fight cancer, drink plenty of beer.
Estrogen.
Yes.
Wow.
I know, I never realised that either.
Beer. Well, I just thought maybe
well,
that's...
No, suddenly that's why I'm getting beer boobs.
That's just what I was thinking.
Okay, here we go.
Radio X.
Tonight, England play Iceland. I'm afraid Iceland have done something shocking.
What?
Well, there's nothing worse when you're trying to compete with someone than if they're nice to you.
Oh, I see. As gamesmanship.
Well, when the gamesmanship states, the laws of gamesmanship is the art of winning without actually cheating, and the key principle of Potter's principles, who wrote the book of gamesmanship, is let your attitude be the opposite of your opponent's. So if you're playing tennis...
So if he's aggressive, you be passive?
Yes. I mean, for instance, I very rarely lose at golf. I don't really like the game, just because my game around it's so good. If I'm playing generally against someone who's really competitive, which I try and play, I like to pause and like take in nature and just go, do you know what? Let's just stop for a second. Do you know what? Just forget the game and everything. Isn't it just great just to be out?
Just to be out.
Office, just look at it all. We're just not in an office, guys. And suddenly, people just feel so mean and boring. The other thing I once did when I was interviewed by Today's Golfer magazine is I found out the guy from Today's Golfer. I was 2 down. Going down the back 9. God, is he really talking golf stories? This is all right, this one, actually. I found out his favourite song was Yellow by Coldplay.
Yeah.
And I'd read in the book of Gamesmanship by Stephen Potter, which I commend to anyone. You get it on Abe Books. And they're written in the 50s. You find out someone's favourite tune and then you keep re-singing it, deliberately getting the last note wrong.
Oh, that would drive them to distraction.
So I was going, look at the stars, see how they find something. Well, they were all yellow. Well, they were all yellow. And he was looking at me like, no, it's not. I go, what is the note? He goes, yellow. I was going, yellow. He's going, no, yellow. I was going, yellow.
Oh, God.
Anyway, he got to his next drive. And I'd read this in the book. I got into it. Do you know what happened? He drove it back between his legs. It had such a psychological effect. Anyway, at the moment, here's the reason I say this, is because Iceland say, we'll still cheer on England even if they beat us.
Oh, that's dastardly.
Yes.
Vicious.
Yes, with harsh temperatures making football unplayable for at least 4 months of the year. Players and supporters described yesterday how the country usually adopts England as its favourite team. Ida Johnson, a veteran squad member, go on Ida, said the team is preparing the biggest game in Iceland's footballing history, but admits if his country's knocked out, he hopes Roy Hodgson's men go on to lift the trophy. How can you get competitive against people as nice as that? They've just done us here. Oh, and their form's looking good. Anyway, go on England. Anyway, listen, the game last night, guys.
Yes.
I don't know what's more depressing. The fact that Roy had written that speech beforehand.
And had it ready for a while, probably.
Yes, yeah. But also, they did everything that was asked of them. What?
Except
go out there and lose, lads. You know, I mean, how can you say about a group of men who've lost 2-1 to Iceland, they did everything I'd asked of them?
Did he ask them to just pass it round the back
Yes.
for ages while
Yes.
we were a goal down?
Well, we're 2-1 down, and he just said, let's preserve this loss. Let's just keep this at 2-1.
Defend.
11 men behind the ball. Let's keep this at 2-1.
It's very rare you park the bus on a 2-1. You know, and I've got to tell you, it's about the only time England have successfully defended. It's when they're 2-1 down. I mean, they really look like a side who would never concede another goal at that point.
There was one moment when Joe Hart led the country in almost soiling itself, when they nearly scored again.
Yes.
But he was just scrambling around in the...
Yeah.
It was horrible.
The worst thing was I really laid it on last night. Went down to Kentucky Fried Chicken, got 14 pieces, got the big basket, which incidentally is really handy. That Kentucky do the bucket.
Yeah.
Because it actually does give you a bin for all the stuff you
really does,
can't
yeah.
eat because you're about to be
do you
sick.
put it back in?
Yes.
Oh, do you do this with like Quality Street and stuff as well? Or Miniature Heroes? You once you've eaten them, you put the wrapper back in the box.
No.
Because you're the worst kind of person if you do it.
This isn't revenge for me saying that about the melody thing.
Do you put the pistachio shells back in?
Never.
Yeah.
And I never put the used edamame back in either. When I go to Wagamama's. That's unforgivable. No, I don't mind. I never mind it if people put the bones, if my kids put the bones back in the Kentucky bucket, because generally they leave a bit more on and I'll go for a nibble. And you don't mind your own kids drool. No. You just don't mind it. It's like a bit of me, that.
That's right.
Anyway, so I got really excited. I got an extra, big Kentucky bucket. We're all there. And I guess what's depressing is I knew this was going to happen. Not just according to my statistical model, but as soon as people started saying, Iceland, it's only the size of Leicester.
Yeah.
And as soon as they said that, you could see all England players like,
The writing was on the wall.
The size of Leicester. Oh, God. The gods of irony. The gods of irony are going to lap this one up. But as soon as they heard Leicester, that was like it's like the opposite of a panic word.
Well, it was a searchlight in their eyes, like rabbits.
It really was. As soon as they heard that. But Roy, afterwards, just as we picked through that speech, the fact he can congratulate a group of men like that for such just an inept performance.
Awful.
It was awful
performance.
No, but how can you go out there and think, no, I just won't bother even playing a midfielder. I won't have a midfielder. We can do it without a midfield. England can do that. Do you know, in the words of Glenn Hoddle, do you know what I think we missed, Gav? Just that moment of magic. just need to...
Well, when we made a substitution, he said...
Any good Glenn stuff?
He said... well, what you gain on the swings, you lose on the roundabouts.
Do you know what? It's all swings and roundabouts. That was like a City expression in the 80s.
It really was.
Swings and roundabouts. I'm surprised there wasn't a Hoddle and Waddle album called that.
Radio
X.
Johnny Vaughan. Radio X.
Okay, I love leaps of technology where they just simply find something in nature that has the answer.
Okay.
Those of you who are intelligent will already know this is the study of biomimetics.
Of course.
Glenn, you knew what biomimetics was, didn't you?
Oh, big time, yeah.
Who doesn't?
Did you just say big time? You're such a child. Big time, buddy. This bit of biomimetics is absolutely fantastic. I find myself with a full dishwasher, but obviously I don't put the pots and pans in there because they get everything really dirty if you do put them in.
Yeah.
Because you get all the grease and stuff, and you just get that and I can't have that on the wine glasses. But Few tasks in life hold less joy than scrubbing the ghost of somebody else's porridge from a saucepan. I don't have to do that.
Right.
And everyone should be using a non-stick surface for a porridge anyway. But what's happened is scientists have invented now a pan that's a self-cleaning pan.
Really?
A pan that cleans itself. Yay.
How?
They've invented a self-cleaning antibacterial metal surface that repels water with an intricate crisscross of laser-engraved valleys. Yes, I said laser. I love it whenever any laser technology is involved in anything. It just feels like the future, doesn't it?
I bet it never works.
Oh, God, you're so cynical. That's so cynical.
Do you have to plug it in, or is it just...
No, Glenn, you don't, because that wouldn't be biomimetic.
Well,
would
where
it?
do the lasers come from?
No, it's made for you. You haven't got like a potter's wheel with lasers above it, so you're lasering surfaces, Glenn.
It sounds like a lot of work.
I don't like the sound of this.
No.
Big time. Okay. The starting point was the leaves of the lotus flower. This is what I love about. This is the bio bit of the mimetics.
Okay.
The starting point was the leaves of the lotus flower. When it rains, the lotus does not become... This sounds going to sound like an ancient Chinese proverb.
Go on.
When it rains, the lotus does not become damp. The water simply trickles off in fat droplets, taking any bugs and dirt with it. Luca Ramoli at the University of Parma, he's a professor of industrial engineering. Great engineers, the Italians. He said it's a way. He's studying biomimetics, a way to study nature and try to understand how you can improve things by mimicking what's already available. So they're just making these pans. It imitates the petals of the lotus flower, and because of that, nothing will stick to it. So the laser etches exactly the serrations and the tiny little...
It sounds like a brilliant idea.
It's genius. And if it works, you've worked in catering.
Well, that's my point. I love cooking, and I've cooked a lot in my life.
Yes.
And if it carries on working after 6 months of hard use,
yes,
I'll be really impressed.
I was talking to someone the other day, and they've got an uncle. He was a cab driver, and they said that because he knew the booze was always in the kitchen,
Right.
on Christmas Day, he would always hang around in the kitchen afterwards to wash up. Did I tell you this already?
No, you didn't.
But unfortunately, he was an Irish uncle, but he'd never seen... this was back in the 60s. Or 70s. He'd never seen a non-stick pan before.
Oh, I can see where this
And
is going.
he handed them back their Teflon pan. He goes, "Christ, that one was filthy." And
Another black stuff
with a metal
Scourer.
he'd taken all the Teflon off. He says, "It took hours to get it off."
Radio X.
Every day, the Woodman furnishes us with a hero to lift our lives. So I only say that because I know what today's is. Go on, Gav.
Today's hero is called Canquamo Marchesi.
It's a spider, Gav.
It is, named after Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It was found
The Nobel Award-winning novelist.
Correct.
Nice.
It was found in the mountains of Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta
Gav,
on Colombia's Caribbean coast.
It's in Colombia.
Yeah, it's a brand new tarantula, a brand new discovered species.
If you could have anything named after you, Gav, what animal would you go for if they found a new?
Oh, I don't know.
It was going to be called the Woodman. No, if it's going to be called...
Well, I think the woodman spider would be quite good.
That'd be a really horrible
like a huntsman spider.
You know, you got bitten by a woodman. Yeah, really
sounds
bad.
horrible.
Phil, what are you going for?
I'd probably go for something.
Now, what animal would you like if they found a new animal? It was named after the... What's your surname?
Chrysicos.
Yeah, it was called a chrysicos.
Chrysicos.
It already sounds like something quite bad.
It does.
A Chrysicos tiger.
With sound effects.
A Greek tiger.
A Greek tiger.
The tiger is come from the... here. The biggest tiger is in it. Sorry, Gav.
It doesn't. It can't kill a human, but it's got little hairs on its body that will irritate you. Right now, I don't know if it'll irritate you as much as the little wing mirror spider everyone's got in their wing mirrors.
Oh man!
What do you reckon? Everyone's got one.
Have you been stalking me again?
I've had one in my car for about 4 years. Every time I wash my car, I try and hose it out of there. And
it doesn't come out. It doesn't come out.
Never works. But there is a way to get one out.
I've already bonded with mine. We've had some miles together.
Yeah, you can see them just. You just see it. You see the web there all the time. A new fresh one every day.
What's yours called?
Mine's called Nigel.
Mine's called the Woodman. No, it's not. Mine, to be fair, mine is called Chrysicos.
There is a way to get them out of your wing mirror.
How?
We were told by the out spider.
Gav, don't. If it's fire.
No, there's no fire involved.
Okay.
You get a tuning fork.
Yeah.
And you ping it and you touch it on the wing mirror.
That's right, we were told that.
And
weren't
it
we?
vibrates the wing mirror in the way that the spider's web would vibrate if there was some prey in it, like a fly. And it comes out. And as it comes out, you just have a chat and ask him to leave.
Nice. So you're saying is like AA men should carry they should have that in the van.
fork.
They should have that in the van.
Yeah, but especially 440A, like A natural.
Why A natural?
Well, that's the note that spiders enjoy the most.
They hate it. All right, listen.
Cancoamo marquesi, the new spider.
It's a brand new tarantula. Thank you very much indeed. Tony Montana. We salute you.
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan.
X.
Now, I love the idea of driverless cars.
Yes.
As a concept. In fact, you'll find, and this is quite a weird thing, I used to write a column for In Gear, the Sunday Times thing. I used to write a weekly column there. And I was the first person to talk about the technology of it.
Right.
And what's weird about it, I wrote this article just about soon driving, you won't drive. A journey will be something that you're spending time in a place. You'll book a slot on a motorway, and literally like booking a train, and that's it. You'll get there at that time, and it'll
go to the door you want to go to.
Yeah, it'll just do it all. But you'll be in your car, and a journey is just merely time. It'll give you time off. You can have a nap. You can do things other than driving with the journey.
I can't imagine geting in a car and just having a nap.
I know.
On my own while it sets off.
Well, I hope not, Gav. We'd never see you again.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially not because I know you drive a... Yeah, right. I hope not, Gav. You drive a 12-year-old Volvo.
No. Obviously with one of these autonomous
I know. So, yeah. But what I was saying is it's based on two principles, which is quite weird because they've done it. And I said it's based on the principle of we've got Parktronic, we've got GPS.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Oh, it's definitely doable.
Yeah, yes, it's doable. But what's weird is later I read an article in the Times and it quotes an American who's quoting these one Sunday Times motoring expert.
It was you.
I was thinking, that's me. That's not another. I thought, I know why you haven't named me because that'll undermine the article. That'll make it not sound so good. Anyway, I've been following driverless cars because for me it marks the ascent of the machine. It really does. It's a big deal, as you know. At the moment, they're about where, I guess they're about at the level of a moron.
What, the cars are?
Yes, they can park.
Yes.
So it's like they can just about get through a driving test. Just that bit of the driving test. They can't do, there's lots of stuff they can't do yet.
That's right, yeah.
Anyway, your car's run out of control and is rattling towards a group of people at 80 miles an hour. Do you swerve into a wall and take your own life, or do you plough on into the innocent pedestrians in the hope of saving yourself? Do you know what? As Britain prepares for the rise of driverless cars, they've discovered that the cars they've programmed work on a utilitarian principle.
So it would take you out before the crowd?
Yes.
Yeah.
It will save as many lives as possible. So the car will now prioritise and go, no. It'll go, sorry, John. This is where we say goodbye.
Oh, God.
That's what I'm saying. The car's going to make a decision.
You'll be really not trusting your car.
No, but how? No, but in a way, how wonderful. Because you wouldn't do that. You'd selfishly swear.
Because you have your own instinct that would kick in. Yeah.
You might be, but you got to think about yourself now. But no, the car won't do that. But here's the problem. What do cars do if it's going to hit, say, one of its brother cars? Does it still prioritise?
Well, will the machines look after each other?
Yes, will the machines look exactly right? Will they sort of think,
yeah.
Oh, but I will not hit another Mercedes.
No.
It is in my program not to hit another Mercedes. I'm sorry, John. This is where we say, Auf Wiedersehen! And that's it. Done.
Yeah.
It's like in those science fiction things where, like in Alien,
Hal.
You've always got the one that's got its own agenda.
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
All of them, where they're following some corporate agenda. You just don't know.
That's right. God,
You've been in
it's
that
terrifying.
Volvo, and it might just not prioritise you over a Swede.
You've sold it to me, John. I'm just not going to buy one.
Well, I don't know.
I'm just going to get one with a steering wheel, and I'm going to drive myself.
Well, driving is fun.
It is.
And sometimes when you're in traffic and you're just static in traffic and you're sitting there, you're thinking, well, this is sort of like a driverless car. It's just not moving.
That's
this
right.
Is the experience I would have in the car. It's just dull.
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan. Radio X.
A competitive eater has become the first person to conquer the UK's largest mixed grill.
Wow.
Get in there. That's what we're about.
What was in this mixed grill now? I'm quite hungry. I'd like to know what was in it.
Okay, he consumed 10,000 calories in less than 45 minutes at the George Pub and Grill in Stockton-on-Tees.
10,000 in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it includes 2 8-ounce steaks and a rack of ribs. But Adam Moran, 30, also known as the YouTube star Beard Meets Food, said that the coleslaw was harder, adding, "I thought I was going to vomit," which is really nice of him. Do you know what? I got a bit tipsy at the Racing Drivers Club dinner a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And they bought us lunch, and I don't know, it was at a very smart hotel, and there was no veggie on it. There's no vegetables at all.
What was it?
It was just a huge plate of food, of meat.
Yeah.
Just meat.
Meat.
I love the way you say meat.
Lovely bit of meat.
What's your trick to say meat in Irish correctly?
It's just you say meat and then you add an H and another H and another H. You
So
say
you say-
meat.
So you go, meat.
That's right. Yeah.
I love it. I don't know why. Sometimes there's a few things that make me giggle at night. And that's one of them. When I'm about, I'll sit there and go, meat.
Meat. I don't know why.
Anyway, I'd had a couple of drinks and I wouldn't do it, but I was sitting right behind me was the Duke of Kent.
Right. Okay.
And he was really piling into his meat.
Was
I'm
he?
not being funny. He was really putting it back. It looked like it was man versus food. So I started going, Duke versus meat.
Did you?
Yeah. And the worst thing is 2 other guys who are a bit tipsy on the table
Joined
decided
in.
to join in.
Oh,
And it
no.
turns out there's a few of us going, Duke versus food. Duke versus food. And the worst thing is I'd forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
Until I went to the Rugby Players Award, and there was someone else who'd been on one of the next door tables. He's gone, "That was funny, mate. That was."
Well, you
I've gone,
remembered
what?
it.
I've gone, what? What was funny? He's going, Duke versus food. Duke. I've gone, well, who did that? And he goes, you did it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I did. It was a real, oh, God, what have I done? I could have been shot by security or something. Anyway.
There goes the OBE.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any danger one of those going my way, Gav. You're joking, innit? You're joking.
Johnny Vaughan.
Radio
X.
Radio X.
Gav was talking earlier about the wing mirror spider.
Yeah.
Have you got one, Gav?
I do currently run a wing mirror spider, yes.
Okay. You run one. Okay, what's your wing mirror spider called?
I haven't got a name for him. He's just,
Haven't you?
I don't like having a new web between the wing mirror and the car every day. It's really annoying.
It is annoying.
It is. It's like, this is, how can it be any good in there?
Yeah, but I guess they can snuggle up against the electrics.
Well, that's right.
There is some electrics in there.
No, but
No, but why do they I guess they like it
don't
because
know.
you go along through traffic and they do catch things.
I guess that's it. Yeah,
But they
they
can't
do
do it
a
on-
web, and your car moves the trap around for them. doesn't
Yes, it
Yeah.
does a lot of the work.
Especially on the motorway.
Yeah, but effectively, they haven't got to wait for the flies to come to them. They take the web to the fly.
That's right. They've got a mobile web.
Yeah, they've got a 70 mile an hour web. Now, you think how the fly feels. He's going along through the air thinking, there's no way I'm going to get done by a spider. There's no way moving at this speed.
Not on the M1.
I'm not going to get a spider moving a web at me at 90 miles an hour. It's like being hit with a tennis racket for them. Anyway, we've had loads of people. We just mentioned this earlier because Gavin says the best way to get rid of them if you want to is...
just tap a tuning fork and touch it on the wing mirror, and
Yeah.
the spider will reveal itself. At which point you may negotiate with the spider.
Never kill spiders.
to leave
Never
the
kill spiders.
premises.
Remember, spiders are very, very handy because what tends to wipe out humans, as it's done, I feel, many times before, just at our rate of progress at the moment, last 100 years. My new theory is just, hang on a second, we've been around a few times here. And I think it's because we take out everything that eats flies,
Yeah.
that preys on flies. Their numbers go up. They take us out, wham, back to the cave.
Yeah.
And,
Start again.
and that's my theory. Okay, we've had so many people text in about their little sun visors, their wing mirror friends, their wing men. Okay, no wing mirror spider, but a sun visor moth. I call him Terry the flapping git. Been trying to get rid of... Yeah, okay, I spotted the word, Gav. Been trying to get rid of the...
Twit.
The twit for a week. Love Jimbo T. Bimbo. Thank you very much, Jimbo T. Bimbo.
Jamie in Manchester says, Johnny, my wing mirror spider is called Arachnid Sid. He's a right poser.
That's Jamie in Manchester. I have a wing mirror spider called Michael because he's always looking at the man in the mirror.
That's Frank from Manchester. Thank you very much.
Sean says he's got 2, one on each side. No electrics in there for the warmth on his Yaris.
You've also had someone with a brand new car.
Yes.
And within a day,
Yeah.
they've got one in there.
That's Emily. She says, how do they do it? We got a new car Monday, and by Tuesday morning they had a new wing mirror spider.
Well, I tell you why, because it's like anything, isn't it? It's they love that new car smell. The wing mirror spiders are probably sitting there thinking, can't believe it, we've just got a new wing mirror. How come
I
these
used to
people-
be in an old Vauxhall, but I've got a brand new
Yeah, got brand new.
Toyota.
They find it, but they're probably sitting there in the wing mirror thinking, can't believe it, we've only been here a day, there's people here. It's unbelievable.
Who says there's a housing shortage?
The wing mirror spider's probably thinking, it's amazing we've got these sort of like humans in this big thing attached to our wing mirror.
It's part of the trade-in deal.
Yeah, it is.
You take your old car in, the spider thinks, hold on,
Yeah.
some new pads here.
We're definitely going to have our Radio X wing mirror spiders.
Oh, we've got
and we're
to.
definitely going to do our TV series Wing Mirror Spiders, like Ice Road Truckers. It's Tuesday morning. Barry the Spider's got to get 4 miles up to get a fly. And with home only 2 miles away and no flies in the web, Barry and Scylla have got to work hard to get the flies in. Seriously. Wing Mirror Spiders, lots of deadlines.
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan.
X.
Okay, I asked you earlier the very same question that the Daily Mail has asked me today. This is top flight stuff here from the gang at the Mail. Well done.
Go on then.
Because I much prefer what they do at the Mail, which is genius, is they've stopped really with headlines, and they just go with questions. How much more of this
Can we take?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So is this the end of the line for? And it's a much more already. You got me. You got me, guys.
Yeah.
And this is just a belter. Question: is the firm handshake losing its grip? Genius. See what they've done.
I do, yeah.
And already, don't you know what the whole article is about?
Straight away.
Exactly right. That's because it's been bit by someone who's good. Okay, plus a bit of cheeky wordplay. We know what it's about.
Yeah.
They're a client of the handshake, something that's close to people at the Mail, because you know if they're a Mail reader,
There better be a
they're going
firm
to give
handshake.
you a firm handshake, or
Yeah.
you can get out.
Yeah.
Okay. It used to be an essential part of making a good first impression, but the days of the firm handshake are over, as study suggests.
Which study is this?
I don't know. It just means we're about to hear something that's been exaggerated.
Okay, go on.
It's been replaced by a weaker grip due to the rise in technology and fall in manual labour, experts say. As a result, limp handshakes have become popular among millennials, men and women under 30. And I'll say it once, I say I do hate a limp handshake.
How do they? Really?
Yeah,
What, is
I- no, I
everyone
can- I
giving
can-
limp handshakes now?
I can believe that, Gav. I tell you another thing that I'd like the Mail to look at next week, if you're listening there. Could you look up or do some research rather than nicking it off other people, which is nothing wrong with that. But I'm finding it harder to clap than I used to.
What do you mean?
I just think at theatres they used to clap for longer when I was a kid. And I just find it, my hands aren't, I think we're losing the knack of clapping. We're not as good as it.
Really?
Yes. I think in the old days, they could really clap for hours.
Applause was a
Yes.
historical skill.
But how many times do we, because they were always going to live shows and seeing things, they're always clapping away. But the other night I was at something, there was a round of applause at the theatre, and I felt knackered.
Did you?
And my hands really hurt. I started doing much softer clap like that, so going, it was very good. But I think I just think the clap's on the decline. If you look at the world record amount of curtain calls, or encores, I think is for Rudolph Nureyev and Dame Margot Fontaine.
Ballet.
Yeah, it's like 94.
Really?
Wow.
90. That means they were clapping, and they came out 94 times, and they were still like that. That's a posh crowd.
That's
Yeah,
a
they
really
haven't lost the
posh
knack.
crowd, yeah.
Breeding. So anyway, Mail next week. If we can have something about, because it's something I suspect. We're losing the knack of clapping. And again, I think it's because our hands are becoming softer. We're not going to as many live things where we clap.
Yeah.
And also, at the end these days, do you know what people do to sort of, which is cheating? Never used to happen when I was a kid. But I've noticed towards the end now of musicals, and it really annoys me, is there comes a time when everyone starts to clap in rhythm while the crowd, and then a character comes out and you're thinking, what, do we break the rhythm now and all go like that, and then we'll go back to rhythm, and then the next one goes and it starts to sound like New Order. It's like and it's kind of a weird
like
thing.
flamenco or
yes,
something.
it is. But it's like Blue Monday, and it's anyway. Please, in theatres, sort it out. just take us out of this clapping wilderness. Are we meant to be clapping in rhythm when all the cars come on at the end, or do we just clap normally? Because I think we've lost the knack of actually doing it normally.
Yeah.
And we've got to get back in training, else we're going to lag as a clapping nation.
Yes.
So come on, let's get the clap back.
Radio X.
Here on Radio X, we have a great weekend lineup, as you know. Ellis James and John Robbins are on Saturday, aren't they, Simon?
Very good show.
That hurts. That hurts.
That stings.
It is a good show. You're absolutely right, yeah? They're on from 1 o'clock. Do catch them. At the weekend, they suffered a few staff shortages. Producer Dave was in Wales. Producer Vinny, who's often on the show, he was at Glastonbury. And even producer Big Si wasn't available to help out because it's carnage on the domestic front, where everyone is crying. So who did they turn to in their hour of need? Which qualified individual would step into the breach? Who would you want beside you when the chips are down? Well, let's have a little listen to who joined them. And I've got this down. I'm going to press this button. Here we go.
I am joined in the studio, brand new to the show, producer Si. Little Si from the Johnny Vaughan Show. Hello, producer Si.
Hello. All right.
So listeners, if you are familiar with the Johnny Vaughan Show, you'll know Little Si. I have to say, that's going to be the last time I refer to him as Little Si.
Oh, thanks.
Because he's not in any way little.
I'm not, I know. It's a bullying thing.
It is, and this is a bullying-free zone when Ellis isn't here.
Thanks.
So I'm going to rename you Studious Si.
Yeah, right. Like, that's a good nickname.
Studious.
Studious Si.
That doesn't make for a good ring announcement, does it?
Ladies and gentlemen, Simon is studious. I don't even know your surname. No, it's Little Si. To be fair, we only call him Little Si. He is little. Slight.
Yes.
But it's just because the other side is enormous.
It's just so big, yeah.
We have got two sides.
Yeah.
But we're a two-size show. Here's some more evidence from the show, and this is why. Here we go.
Because you have the look of a sort of, to describe you to the listeners, imagine like a German Formula One driver.
What?
Or sort of a German Formula One technician who sort of looks at all the screens and how much pressure is in all of the various tyres. So can I call you Studious Si?
Yeah, that's fine. That's great. That's a better description, because Johnny Vaughan once described me as looking like Mr. Muscle.
Absolutely right, and I nailed it. Did you enjoy working on someone else's show?
Yeah, no, actually, sorry. No, it wasn't.
No, they do. Listen, they do a really great show. I don't mind. I don't get jealous. But did you really enjoy yourself? It's not a trick question.
Yeah,
did you really enjoy yourself?
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, it was.
I wish I had known that you were doing that. I'd have waited outside in a van, one of those American vans, black like one of those black Dodges, a Dodge Ram, and I've been waiting in the back listening to this. And it had a skull on the side, then I just swagged you, put you in a sack.
Johnny Vaughan.
Radio X. Radio X.
Okay, Gav, I've got a hero for you today.
Go on, you do.
Because I've got to take back everything I've been saying. I don't like British tennis players at Wimbledon, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I think, as a kid, I used to grow up and it was an international tournament, and we didn't really care about any British
And we
tennis
had all
players.
these amazing characters from around the world.
Okay, so we had these amazing characters around the world, and I didn't really feel that. But that's at the top tier. We didn't have any heroes. But I don't mind a hero from the bottom of the pile. Here we go.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
This guy is my hero today because he hasn't got a chance of winning it or getting any of that Murray Mount, Henman Hill kind of crap going. This guy's definitely going out next round. But I tell you what. 5 months ago, Marcus Willis had given up on his tennis playing career and was making plans. He was going to move to the US to start a coaching job. Yes, that's how bad things had gone.
So he was going to coach at a young age already decided.
Yeah, he'd already given it up. It's not obviously he's not quite in the pro shop at a driving range yet.
Okay.
Apologies when I'm working there, but you're not going to make it. You know you're not. Sorry, but it doesn't matter how much new kit you've got and how many freebies you get from Callaway. You're not going on the tour. You're not going to. You can spot great golfers really early on. That's just the way it is. Imagine a load of pros in a shop somewhere, all looking at each other like, oh.
You should be a motivational speaker.
It's not. I'm trying to be a demotivational speaker, I should go. Anyway, after a series of lucky coincidences, the player ranked 772nd in the world. Yesterday saw his prize money for the year go from 220 quid to 50 grand.
Wow.
The 25-year-old wild card pulled off one of the biggest upsets in Wimbledon history. Well, he beat a guy ranked 54.
Right.
Which, when you look at it,
Yeah.
that's big. I mean, that's
Massive,
720 places odd. Willis, who usually coaches amateurs, 30 quid an hour. He is. 30 quid an hour. He'll now be plunged into the spotlight. He's got a centre court tie against Roger Federer. That is British.
That is so British.
It's going to be a straight setter.
That's amazing.
What's great about him is his girlfriend looks smoking hot, which is... I love the fact that even at that level of tennis, you can get a beauty. But also, his fans yesterday, he went and hugged all his fans, and it was so nice to see on this sort of outcourt of Wimbledon. It was so lovely to see. And he gave them all a hug, and they were going, shoes off, if you love Willis, shoes off. And they just
all gave him the shoe
they just had
salute.
one shoe off for him.
Why?
I don't know. And they didn't hit on the news. But that's what you do if you like him. You take your shoes off and wave them in the air. But I liked him as well because he's carrying a bit of weight.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a bit portly.
He had an interview yesterday. He just went, like a few years ago, I was a loser. I was just a loser. And he was really honest about
Well,
that.
look, he still lives with his parents. He's got his credit cards to pay. And it's just great, man. It's just all good. This is the sort of hero we need. It's just helped him out enough. But hopefully it's not become a big deal and get all those lunatic women from Oxfordshire coming down just going, we love Tim. Come on, Tim! Come on, Tim! You know, that lunatic fringe, he's not going to get that. But he strikes me as a good lad. Do you know what? Marcus Willis. The Johnny Vaughan 4 till 7. Thanks! Salute you!
Radio
X. Johnny Vaughan. Radio X.
Every day, as you know, we like to just get in touch with Mark Francis, our hero,
And
on the
just check
show.
in with what he's thinking.
What's Mark thinking? He's the king of the ironists. He's beyond anything I ever imagined the media would come. Mark Francis is, unless you're a fan of Made in Chelsea, MIC, nothing quite makes me laugh. And also calms me down if I've just been watching Gomorrah. I can go back to that and sort of get back to some sort of unreal world.
Frivolity, yeah.
Yeah, if I've been watching something that's too real, I go to a fake reality, what I call a hyper reality, and almost akin to Disneyland.
It is, yeah.
In the philosophical sense. Gav, have we got...
I found a tweet here where he defines what a good friend is.
Okay.
So for Mark Francis, this is the quote. He says, "Good friends send flowers that work with your aubusson." Now, I, like you, don't know what an aubusson is.
Tell me,
so I looked it up. Aubusson is the region in France that makes the finest tapestries.
Oh, man. And Mark Francis knew that.
Of course he did.
Gav, when you said you have the occhio di gatto.
Occhio di gatto.
The occhio di gatto.
Eyes of the cat.
Have you actually heard him say that?
I've heard him say occhio di lupo.
Well, he said something of the eyes of the wolf.
One of the girls had very frosty green grey eyes, and he said she had the eyes of the wolf.
We had someone text us in just to say that we have a cat who's completely superior to us all in the arrogant cat way.
Yeah.
He rules us. We renamed him Mark Francis. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, number ends 1058.
No,
Mark.
that's Sarah in Carshalton.
Oh, that's Sarah in Carshalton. Thank you so much, Sarah in Carshalton. We're going to try and put our feelers out to see if we can get Mark Francis on just every week to answer your love problems.
That'd be great.
Because we just think the show would benefit from that.
I'm reeling that apparently I haven't got any good friends.
What?
If that's how you judge, he said a judge of a good friend.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, has no one ever matched the flowers they gave you with your aubusson?
Evidently not.
You haven't got any good mates. have you?
Traitors.
Honestly, you must be so popular.
Egg on my face right
No,
now.
seriously, I'm
humiliated.
disgusted, man. All my friends do.
Radio X.
Random graffiti, seemingly meaningless. Random graffiti. Why don't you send it in to us? See, it all started when I see the word lager written in large letters on a wall in Clapham Junction. I'm not going to maintain the ridiculous Mexican accent in case they attack. But then you sent in your examples of odd and often meaningless graffiti. Please let us know your acts of random graffiti, 83936 or at Radio X. At Radio X. Go on, Gav.
This one's in from Simon. He saw this etched into a park bench. Kittens of the night.
Really?
Kittens?
Okay, here we go. Dave in Middlewich. Around the canal bridges of Middlewich in Cheshire, it just says, "There's nothing wrong with Mondays. It's your life that's rubbish." which is fantastic. Gav, what do we got?
This one was sent into by Craig Rosie on a bus stop in Gloucester. He saw written there, "My honesty could get us killed."
This is just fantastic. Needless to say, it's from, I think, the home of randomness, Scotland.
Go on.
Hey guys, random graffiti in Livingston, Scotland, and big black spray paint. Someplace says, in big black spray paint, it simply says, "Specky hot dog." That's it.
I can picture a specky hot dog.
Specky hot dog, and then afterwards, Stevie K in Livingston has commented, "Brilliant." You're absolutely right, Stevie K in Livingston. It's a bit of brilliant. Specky hot dog.
That's great.
Gav, what you got?
This is says, "I saw the following graffiti on the inside of a toilet door in a bar in Sale in Manchester."
What did it say?
It says, "Lick here to change your life."
And I bet it would.
You'd never forget.
You'd never. Is that what it said? On the inside of a toilet door, "Lick here to say."
Yeah, you could
change your life.
You could never unlick that door.
You could. It would change your life, definitely. Site in Bolton, on a wall near a bus stop years ago. The random graffiti in Tipex. It says the words, "Ooh, biker."
With a Y.
Yeah. Biker.
Biker.
Ooh, biker.
That's a good one. That's
It's
random.
What I love about it is that someone remembered that.
Yes.
Because
it would stay in your memory, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That's the great thing about random graffiti. It just stays. It's a moment in time. And go on, Gav.
Kelly in Aylesbury says she once saw sprayed on the side of a church the word Satan, except they'd spelt it wrong, and so had actually just sprayed the word satin on the wall. The church left it there and thought it was hilarious.
That's brilliant. How do they know it was meant to be Satan, though? I'd like to interview Eva, because how come they didn't
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't come across and just say Satan. Or perhaps it was meant to be statin, and it was sort of an anti-cholesterol thing, observing how many fat people were going in there.
True.
With high cholesterol levels. Written in a lift in Oldham shopping centre, someone has written... I can hardly get past this one.
Seen it.
Written in a lift in Oldham shopping centre, someone has written, "Imagine a 5-foot fez."
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan.
X.
I was talking earlier about how Kate Hodgson said she loved the Bake Off, Glenn. You know, sort of.
Yeah.
As soon as an American sort of says they're into...
Tom Hanks is a big Aston Villa fan.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, he's not. He went once because they
Yeah.
were filming near Birmingham, and it was either that or sit in a travel lodge. Anyway, Kate Hudson loves Bake Off. Brad Pitt apparently loves EastEnders. But he doesn't. They just say these things, and and the English press goes mad. And my point is, it's never reverse. It's never... You know, we were saying the other week that the Americans never say Adam Woodyard is said to be a massive fan of Friends.
Yeah. Apparently, Jimi Hendrix was a big fan of Coronation Street. Genuine, was a big fan of Coronation Street.
No, there was 2 channels in Britain at the time. Yeah, Coronation Street was on. Jimmy was stoned.
You enjoyed what was given to you.
No, Jimmy was stoned. He'd have watched anything. That's the trouble with that thing. It makes Neighbours seem funny and topical. No, so there's a difference, Glenn, between being a fan and just being in a 2-channel world and high. And you've got to learn that. Okay, here's an example. This is the worst one I've ever heard. No Spacey at Craig's gig. That's what they're reporting about, Glenn. The lack of Kevin Spacey at a Craig David concert.
The crucial part of the story is whether he was supposed to be there.
Okay, now we've got a newsman mentality.
Yeah, because who else are they angry about for not being there?
Well, right, otherwise you could say Bill Clinton wasn't there, and Hillary
where the
Clinton
hell was
wasn't there, Donald
Pacino?
Trump wasn't there. Where was Pacino and De Niro?
Yeah.
Craig David pulled in the weekend's wildest crowd, with fans packing out his Sonic Stage gig. One person who would have wished to be down the front. Yeah, that's how tenuous this is in the Sun.
Would have.
Is
phrase
Kevin
in
Spacey, as the Hollywood superstar, is a fan.
Right.
So, based on nothing so far, we just think, and now we're going to get into this, we're going to answer Glenn's question.
Ahead of his first ever Glastonbury set, Craig told me, this is the guy in the Sun, I met Kevin once, which was amazing. I was performing on a show he was at in Radio City Hall in New York. He came over and said, man, I love what you're doing. This is great.
And that was that?
Yep.
Wow.
That's Dan Wootton. That's coming at you from the Woodster.
Does Dan Wootton... Does he publish the same article for every show that Craig David does?
I don't know, but
he wasn't there again.
He wasn't there again.
Or potentially every show that Kevin Spacey doesn't go to.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, I've done film shows and shows. I mean, I've had 22 years of doing interviews, and every single person I've interviewed say, I love the show.
Yeah.
But I've got to tell you, none of them have turned up recently. That's showbiz.
Yeah. Who else is Spacey snubbing so rudely?
I don't know.
Samantha Mumba. All of them. All the ones from the same period.
Samantha Mumba.
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan. Radio X.
I must say, I haven't got to say this, but as we come to terms with what's happened in Europe, I'm speaking, of course, of the exit as opposed to the Brexit. That's England's exit. Roy Hodgson is just, it's unbelievable. He's acting like a kid who's just going, what, I owned up?
Yeah, I said
sorry.
I said sorry.
Yeah, I said sorry. But it's incredible. He's like really, I mean, I don't know.
But did he really think it would be one day's worth of interviews?
14 million quid or something?
It is, yeah.
So he's got 14 million, you know, as a sort of goodbye. I reckon that's worth a press conference.
Yeah, at least one or two, yeah.
He says, I've said sorry, now give me my cash. What else you bloody want? Yeah.
Just a bit of a chat,
you want
Roy?
to speak to someone, speak to Haddy. Speak to Haddy Kane. But he says here, he says, I don't really know what I'm doing here. That's what he said at the opening of the press conference. Well, how about you just managed an unsuccessful England side and we'd like some answers?
Well, I think for a
just give you 14 million quid.
I think for a start, that was pretty obvious.
Yes. I don't really know what I'm doing here. No, do you know? I tell you what, Roy. I don't know what you have been doing there, looking at us getting beaten by Iceland.
I don't think he knew either.
I think that's what the press conference is about. Is exactly what you have been doing, matey. I mean, I'm not going to turn into a Hodgson basher because I'm quite friendly with the man.
If he'd said that when he was applying for the job, maybe it would have been fairer to the the British public.
What you're saying that actually at the job interview, Roy Hodgson should have sat down and just gone, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I wish he had done.
It would have been much fairer deal.
It'd been a damn sight easier for everyone if he had done. And then what he said is, he says that was Hodgson's opening remark after he sat down and heard the Football Association Chief Executive Mark then make his address. He goes, I think my resignation statement last night was sufficient. I'm no longer England manager. My time has been and gone. His resignation speech was sufficient. Johnny said in his resignation speech, let's just go over that. He says, the players were very good. He says, they did everything I asked of them.
Yeah, it doesn't say much for what he must have asked of them. Yeah.
I want you to go out there and lose 2-1 to Iceland. And
park the bus when we're down a goal.
yeah, but I don't think they did.
No.
I feel so unsatisfied by this. You know when someone's just... Well, we all know when someone's just walked off in an argument, you just really haven't finished. You've got a lot to discuss. Now then, they just won't answer your calls.
That's what it is.
Like in any relationship. You're thinking I'm in the right here.
Next thing he's going to say,
I've said it all. Bye.
Next thing he's going to say is, I can't comment because I'm on holiday.
Yes. I just want to take a break. And I'll tell you when he's going to comment about it, in his autobiography.
That's right, which he'll sell for a lot of money.
That's what he'll do. If you want to find out all about the England debacle, just read my autobiography. But you're absolutely right, Gav. Key point here. I really know what I'm doing here. We wish he'd said that with an interview for the England manager job. Let's cap Gavin in for that. It's about one of the wittiest things you'll ever hear.
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan.
Why does it sound better in my headphones today?
Don't know.
It just sounds like I've got this sort of deeper, more commanding voice today. And it sounds like I've got this deeper, sexier voice, and I just can't seem to shake it off.
Oh, God.
Right then, guys, you ready for this? I warned you earlier about the sinkhole terror. Well, I'm afraid a giant sinkhole has swallowed a garden.
Well, you usually take a house or something or a car, don't you?
Yeah, I know. This time
it's swallowed?
It's taken a garden.
What, lawn down?
Yeah, it's taken, one lawn down. Yeah, exactly right. Families heard a sound like thunder as a 30-foot sinkhole opened up close to homes in Tower View Park. This is in Wales again.
Right.
We notice quite a lot of this sinkholes are opening up in areas where there has been mining.
And what I think might be the problem. Well, Phil, you're in news. What did you know about sinkholes? What can you tell us from a news perspective?
They just open up and go woof, and everything just vanishes beneath them.
Thanks, Phil. That was that's very informative.
I wasn't expecting such a technical
No,
answer.
I really wasn't. I mean, it's really nice now. Now we know all about them. Thanks, Phil.
Sinkhole expert.
What's depressing is that just before this item, I said, Phil, do you know about sinkholes? And he nodded. He said, yeah, it's cool. He put his thumb up. He said, I can handle this, John.
I know them.
I can handle this, John. Is that it? I was kind of hoping for about a minute off you, if you could pad it out.
What's more annoying, a sinkhole or a flood in your house?
It's a good dilemma, Gav. We might turn this item into something yet.
Vote now.
Sinkhole or flood? 83936.
Yeah. Flood or sinkhole?
Well, I tell you what. If you had a sinkhole and then a flood, that's a cheap pool.
That's true.
That's true. Hey presto! That's true. A very deep pond.
It might be so big you can't afford to heat it.
Watch the pond. It's very deep.
Very, very
In fact,
deep.
it goes down a mile. Don't go near the pond. Okay. Jack Needham, whose house is nearest to the hole, was watching the television news when he was disturbed by the rumbling noise. I looked out, and the sky looked clear. I didn't take any notice. Look down, mate. I went out to the car and didn't even see it on the way out. Then I spotted something in the mirror, and that's when I saw it. It's very close. I'm feeling very uneasy about it. Anyway, as Phil says, just give you a description again, Phil, of the process.
It just opens up, woof, and it takes everything with it.
There we go. That's Sinkholes in full right here on Radio X. Thank you very much from the Global News team for that.
Right across the sinkhole news. Yeah.
Right across that, Phil. It's good to know.
Johnny Vaughan.
Radio
X.
Radio X.
I've been looking at robots recently in the papers because I'm worried about it. Because what I don't want to do is start replacing things that humans are quite capable of doing ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need any more of that. Here's a case in point. Cosmo, the robot, snores with a digital wheeze as he nestles on his recharging pad. As it wakes, its blue eyes flicker to life. A few seconds later, it lays down a plastic building block, showing that it wants to play. Should you refuse, its emotional engine will tell it to sulk. Okay, what is the point of creating that?
That's a Tamagotchi, isn't
Well,
it?
no,
Isn't that
what
a
I'm
bit
telling you is that
old-fashioned?
humans can do that. We don't need that. We've got toddlers.
Yes, I don't get that at all.
Oh, great. Let's invent an electric toddler.
A bad-tempered
Yes.
robot.
What else does it do?
Are we there yet?
Yes. And then you just got a lot of sump oil in a nappy. Iron, sulphur. Oh, God. Cosmo's emotional engine is designed to kick in when it does something that might trigger an emotional response in real life. If, for example, it speeds recklessly towards the edge of a table, it will emit a shriek as it reaches the precipice. Great!
What for?
What for? We've got children. We don't need this. It's a waste of technology. Just stop it. Help us out. It can flail its arms and pull backwards. If it is ignored for long enough, it'll get cranky. Oh, great!
This is all the things you try and teach out of your children.
Yes, yes.
That's right. And
Well, I thought the last one
we're
there-
now programming it into machines.
Yes. Cosmo will go on sale in the United States for $160 in October.
Oh, man.
Who wants one of these things?
Do you know what's scary is it will probably sell out in the first week.
Adopt!
Yeah.
Go into nannying.
Yeah.
You can have one of these all day. I swear to you. You'll love it. Anki, the makers, say that the robot can play with children and form bonds. So can kids. It can recognise faces, allowing it to react differently to each member of the household. Again, I can see what you've reinvented. We've got a surfeit of these. We're having trouble feeding people.
Yeah, we're not missing those services. No.
A child who loves Cosmo will be given affection in return, but one who bullies the robot may be given a frosty reception. And where's that going to go when it's hacked?
Yeah.
Suddenly it's got a stun arm. Or suddenly you hear, exterminate, and Cosmo gets Dalek on his ass. The machine must be linked to a smartphone to provide the computer processing power for its artificial intelligent brain. But, I mean, what happens if someone does hack into your Cosmo and give your child a thoroughly unpleasant afternoon?
And that's going to happen.
Why make yourself vulnerable? Okay, all you got to ask yourself with all these things, is it possible for someone to hack in and start around with it? If the answer is yes, just don't bother.
Yeah,
Just
don't
bother.
start it.
Take Cosmo to a fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Get a sledgehammer and smash them all now, Anki. Destroy them. Destroy them before they take over.
Radio X.
Russian Secret Service men.
What have they been up to now?
I love them. You know, I'm a fan of the Russians. You know, I can't hide it. They're my favourite. They've always been my favourite. So I'm not.
You are a fan of old school espionage, aren't you?
I really am. I just the world was a better place with the Cold War. It just really was. We'd have none of these problems if the Iron Curtain was still there. Our big problem is. Well, I'm not going to go into that too much. It's sort of admitting it worked sort of for us as well in our favour. But I'm just saying.
It worked.
It just everyone knew where they were, and they left such an enemy vacuum. You know, it's when they went, we've had to sort of make everyone else into this enemy. We haven't got this enemy like we used to have, and it just worked.
Mm-hmm.
And there's submarines, and they all look grim.
I think the
big
spirit of the
parades.
wall in some cases is kind of there.
They're
still.
just parades with massive missiles that were never used. As I always say, every unspent round is money well spent with defence.
That's a good point. I always wondered if those huge Russian ones were made of polystyrene or something. They just looked too big.
I thought
didn't
they were just probably full of monkeys. Anyway, or something cruel. Anyway, Russians or flies. Russian maggots. Russian security forces have stepped up a campaign of harassment against Western diplomats in Moscow. Good lads. And that's how it should be. But listen to what they're doing. It's so 70s. Are you ready for this? This is why I love the Russians. Are you ready? And do you know what? I holiday a lot with Russians, and they're such a laugh, man, once you get to know them. They can be a bit rude, a bit abrasive, because they're raised in a world where you didn't need social skills. Everyone just had a job.
Yeah.
So it just didn't really matter.
You didn't have to make your way.
But God, you can have a laugh. They're so cynical. They're just hilarious, man, the way they see the world. Honestly, once you get joking, there's a Russian expression, which is, they say, how are you today? And I've got it on my phone somewhere. I did learn it in Russian to say these Russians every morning. And they've got a phrase that means, I haven't had a baby yet. Because babies are just a problem.
Just hassle.
Yeah. How are you today? Haven't had any babies. What a touch. Anyway, American and other Western diplomats reported being followed by agents. They've had their homes broken into. Check this. Intruders have rearranged furniture.
What? What are they styling people's lounges?
That's what they do. They just go and they just move furniture a bit, just let you know someone's been in there. Other common techniques include stealing television remote controls.
Oh, man.
It's brilliant, man. It's like,
that's so low tech.
It is. It's like some kind of leprechaun trick. Leaving fluffy toys there. Really sinister. Isn't it? You come back, you're thinking,
I didn't buy that.
Teddy like that, was it? Just there, like, and they get this one. They have a poo in people's lavatories and don't flush.
Oh, come on. That's just low.
The other thing they do is they go into people's flats when it's quite cold. They just leave a window wide open. They just shit.
They're like sort of bad flatmates.
Well, this is what I sometimes wonder about, is that for a load of diplomats saying, it wasn't us, obviously the Russian security services, I reckon they're getting the blame for things.
Yeah, we wouldn't be that petty.
Exactly right. People who've lost the remote control. No, I must be the Russians.
Radio X. Johnny Vaughan.
X.
Gav and I were in the pub the other night, and we just overheard at the end of an argument. You sort of latch onto an argument. You think, what are they discussing? He goes, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a driver's car.
Yeah, they were talking about a car, weren't they?
It's what we call a driver's car. His mate's going, nah, it's a commuter's car. It's a commuting car.
We never found out what car it was.
We never found out what car it was.
Well, it reminded us of the boxing thing, didn't it?
Yeah, Gav and I have an argument always about boxers, which we've also heard, which people are going...
People inside boxing, they know all the different subtle differences, don't they? Between...
Well, they never ever agree on what... Oh, no, I'm not... You'll never find two boxers ever agree on anything, people in boxing. They'll never agree on anything, ever. And one of their big differences is that they say... No, he's not. He's more of a boxer than a fighter. And he's more of a fight.
He's a puncher.
He's a puncher. He's a scrap. Well, no, I don't know if he's a puncher. He's more of an old style
he's
scrapper.
He's more of a hitter.
Well, for me, he's an old style pugilist. You're thinking, well, it's just two blokes hitting each other. Yeah. You know, I know a bit about the fight game, but anyway, it's a bit like this with cars. Last night, we was none of these arguments. But you're thinking, what are you talking about? He's going, nah, it's an A to B. It's an A to B, isn't it?
It's not a driver's car.
It's not a driver's car. I mean, it's A to B and back again.
More of
basically.
a motorist car.
Yeah, it's more of a motorist car. We had Rachel texting in earlier in her dirty Merc.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you'd like to describe your vehicle to us.
Yeah. Have you got a driver's car?
Have you got a driver's car or a motor? I don't know. I'd like to know.
More of a passenger's car.
Yeah, it's more of it. I think it's more of a passenger's car. I don't know how they divide up, but if you've got strong feelings about what car you're in, it's more of a family runabout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a shopper's car, and it's a good second car.
Yeah, it's a good car for reversing in.
Yeah, it's a parker's car. Isn't it?
Parker's car.
It's more of a parker's car, that one.
Yeah.
It's a generous vehicle, that one. It's a working vehicle.
It's a journey car.
It's a journey. It's more of a work. I say it's a working vehicle. A to B, B to A, back again, isn't it? Hey, John, I've got a my life is over, just end it now type of car. That's Sam in a crappy Ford.
I love this one here. 10-year-old Cleo, and he's defined it as the university graduate that's still too poor to buy a proper car.
Nice.
And that's
good.
from Sandy, and he's put in in brackets, who's a guy. Now, what has happened to the name Sandy? It's short for Alexander, isn't it?
Which I loved it when I found that out.
I'd love to, Sandy Ferguson.
It's really old school Sandy, isn't it?
Sandy O'Neill.
I wish I could have said, hello, Sandy, how are you? Pint of bitter?
That's right, yeah.
Just a half, I'm driving.
Sandy. Sounds like an proper SAS hero.
It does, doesn't it? Hello, Sandy. It's really good, isn't it?
It does.
I drive a BMW 3 Series, also known as a fast lane car. That's Vicky in Essex.
Now, Vicky, that's why people don't like BMW drivers.
Vicky sounds like the sort of woman I'm looking for. Okay. Someone says they've got a Seat Mill. It's a car's car. Thank you very much for that. I've also got running around in a Hyundai i800 complete with bike rack. Time's not like I've got too many children and just couldn't afford the Mercedes Vito car. Thank you very much indeed for that. Phil, what do you drive?
Jaguar XF.
That's a driver's car.
It's a driver's car, isn't it? You got gloves?
No. Too new for that.
Radio
X.
Johnny Vaughan. Radio X.
That was podcast 40. Our podcast is now middle-aged. Don't be surprised if next week the podcast has had a makeover, started to wear inappropriate clothing.
Trainers,
tighter
a
trousers,
a motorbike.
maybe even trousers sort of quite low down with pants showing.
Yeah, the sort of crotch-fallen ones.
Yeah.
I like that.
And or maybe like a red sports car suddenly.
Yes.
Like
or a Harley Davidson with a brand new leather jacket to go with it.
Do you know, they asked me to leave. Well, they didn't ask me to leave, but they looked at me like they wanted me to leave. I was in Fred Ward's Harley Davidson.
I know that shop, yeah.
Yeah, and I was there on a Saturday, and it was packed with middle-aged men.
Yes.
My son wanted to look at these bikes that are crazy down there.
Right.
And I went in there, and the salesperson came over the bike salesman guy came in, he was quite enthusiastic. And I said really loud, I go, yeah, excuse me, do you get a discount for a midlife crisis? And you can see all these wives.
Everyone looked around.
And all these wives who were with the husbands really laughing.
Yes, and all the husbands
looking at me
going,
like, oh,
don't
cheers.
blow the cover.
You've really stuck it in the back of our own.
I'm a biker. Look, I'm a biker here. I'm not having a midlife crisis.
It's not a midlife crisis. Actually, it's a very good way to get to work.
It's a very good way to transport oneself as a biker.
People just like them because they make that really farty noise.
That's right, as a hardcore biker.
Yeah. Actually, I've always been into Harleys.
That's right.
No, seriously, ask anyone. Even at school, I used to be really into Harleys. Shut up. Anyway, if you like this podcast, why not check out the slightly younger model?
Yes.
Download the Kickabout, available in all the usual places. Don't forget, you can listen to us live every